You've probably wondered at some point, what happens when you sleep? Your mind seems to wander, creating strange stories, places, and people that feel real while you're in them. But what exactly are dreams, and why do they happen? Dreams are the brain's way of processing thoughts, memories, and emotions. They often feel vivid and surreal because the brain is active, but the body is relaxed. What makes dreams so strange is that they often defy logic and reality. You can fly, talk to animals, or experience events that never happened, all while your body remains still and unaware. But dreams aren't just random. They can reveal a lot about your subconscious, your fears, your desires, and even your mental health. Understanding them is like unlocking a secret world inside your mind. So, what are dreams? They're the brain's way of making sense of the world while you sleep. A mysterious, personal journey through your inner self, shaped by science, memory, and emotion. So what exactly are we talking about? Dreams are the vivid, often strange sequences of thoughts, images, and sensations that occur during sleep. They're like the brain's way of processing the day's experiences. They happen during the REM stage of sleep, when the brain is highly active and the body is mostly paralyzed. This is when most dreams are remembered. They can reflect our fears, desires, or unresolved thoughts, often in symbolic ways. Understanding dreams is like peering into the mind's hidden language. So we ask, what are dreams? We're really asking about the brain's mysterious process of creating internal worlds during sleep. Worlds that feel as real as life itself. Dreams are not just random flashes of imagery. They are your brain's way of processing the day's events, sorting through memories, and making sense of the world. Every dream you have is a piece of your mind trying to understand itself. Understanding dreams can help you uncover hidden patterns in your thoughts and emotions. It's like a secret diary your brain writes every night, filled with clues about what you're really thinking and feeling. Dreams can also signal underlying mental health issues. If you're frequently having nightmares or experiencing vivid, recurring dreams, it might be a sign that your brain is struggling to process something important. By studying dreams, scientists can gain insight into the human mind's deepest mysteries. It's a window into the subconscious, revealing what we often keep locked away. So, even though you might dismiss dreams as trivial, they are a vital part of your mental health and cognitive function. Paying attention to them could change how you understand yourself and your world. The earliest records of dreams come from ancient civilizations, where they were seen as messages from the gods or glimpses into the afterlife. In Mesopotamia, clay tablets describe vivid, often terrifying dreams that people believed could predict the future. In ancient Egypt, dreams were considered divine communication, and priests interpreted them as guidance from the gods. Pharaohs would consult dream interpreters to determine their fate and decisions. The Romans, influenced by Greek thought, saw dreams as warnings or omens, often used by generals to make strategic decisions before battles. They documented dreams in their histories and literature. In the Middle Ages, dreams were often associated with the supernatural and the divine, with Christian scholars like Augustine interpreting them as spiritual revelations or warnings from God. The Renaissance brought a renewed interest in human thought, and figures like Leonardo da Vinci began to study dreams more systematically, trying to understand their connection to the mind and creativity. Dreams are like your brain's way of playing with the stuff it learned during the day. When you sleep, your brain sorts out memories and makes new connections, like a puzzle. It's like your brain is trying to understand the world, even when you're not awake. Dreams help your brain stay ready, like the muscle that keeps moving, even when you're resting. So, dreams are your brain's secret way of learning, growing, and staying curious. Before a dream begins, the brain must be in a state of sleep. This happens when certain neurons in the brainstem slow down our conscious awareness, allowing the mind to drift into a quieter, more receptive state. During this transition, the body also enters a state of muscle relaxation known as atonia. This prevents us from acting out our dreams and keeps us safe while our mind explores the unconscious. These random signals are then interpreted by the prefrontal cortex, which normally manages logic and self-awareness, but is largely inactive during REM sleep. As these signals travel through the brain, they are restructured and given meaning by the brain's neural networks, even if the content is fragmented or surreal. This entire process is initiated by the brain's natural rhythm of sleep cycles, which guide the transition from wakefulness to REM sleep and the beginning of a dream. Once the brain has processed the day's experiences, it begins to consolidate memories during REM sleep. This is where the brain sorts through information, strengthening important memories while discarding irrelevant details. During this phase, the brain also starts to reorganize information, linking new experiences with existing knowledge. This helps in forming more coherent and meaningful patterns that we might later recall as dreams. At the same time, the brain's activity increases in regions responsible for emotions and imagination. This shift allows for the creation of complex, surreal imagery and scenarios that may not follow the rules of reality. The brain's prefrontal cortex, which normally governs logic and reasoning, becomes less active. This explains why dreams often feel illogical, strange, or even nonsensical to us upon waking. This combination of memory consolidation, emotional processing, and reduced logical control creates the raw material for the dream experience. It's a complex internal process that shapes what we experience as dreams. Now, here's the clever twist. The brain doesn't just replay memories, it recombines them in new, often illogical ways. This is where the real magic of dreaming happens. During REM sleep, the brain's prefrontal cortex, which controls logic and reasoning, is less active. This allows the more emotional and creative parts of the brain to take the lead. This is why dreams can feel so vivid, strange, and even emotionally intense. The brain is essentially running a simulation of past experiences, but with a creative and sometimes chaotic twist. This recombination of memories isn't random. It's a kind of neural reprocessing, helping the brain organize and make sense of the day's events, even if it does so in a dreamy, distorted way. So the third step in the dreaming process is this clever recombination of memories. It's how the brain turns raw data into something that feels like a story, sometimes even a narrative with a plot. Underneath the surface of our dreams lies a complex dance of brain activity, where neurons fire in intricate patterns, translating thoughts and memories into the surreal landscapes we experience. These neural patterns are not random. They are shaped by our daily experiences, emotions, and even the chemical balance in our brain during sleep. The brain's dreaming state is actually a kind of simulation, replaying and reorganizing memories to strengthen them, while also processing emotional experiences and consolidating learning. This is why dreams often feel both familiar and strange. Our brain is trying to make sense of the past, using fragments of memory and emotion in a way that feels surreal to us. The science of dreams is still unfolding, but what we know for sure is that it's not just a passive process. It's an active, dynamic part of how our brain makes sense of the world. Imagine your brain as a supercomputer running a simulation, but instead of code, it's using memories and emotions as building blocks. During sleep, the system is offline, but it's still processing, replaying, and even inventing new scenarios from the day's data. It's like a video game that doesn't have a script. Players are the programmers, and the story is written on the fly. The result? A dream. Your brain's attempt to make sense of the chaos, using whatever tools it has. And that, in a way, is the most gloriously dumb, yet accurate explanation of what dreams are. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. You've dreamed of falling, of flying, of being chased by shadows you can't name. These visions, fleeting as they are, have haunted humanity since the first night we closed our eyes. In ancient temples and sacred texts, dreams were not just private thoughts. They were messages from gods, omens, or even glimpses of the afterlife. What if the mind in sleep is not shutting down, but opening a door to something far older, something we've never fully understood? We look for meaning in dreams like archaeologists sifting through ruins. But What if the real treasure lies not in the ruins, but in the silence between them? This video is not about decoding dreams. It's about wondering why we still feel the need to. We speak of the silent language of the soul, a cipher written in the night, where thoughts slip through the veil of consciousness and take form in dreams. These visions are not mere illusions. They are echoes of the self, whispers from the forgotten corners of the mind, trying to speak across the border of waking and sleep. We are not merely dreaming. We are remembering, reliving, and perhaps even predicting the hidden truths that lie beneath the surface of our waking lives. In the quiet of the night, when the world is still, the mind becomes a sanctuary of symbols, and the soul speaks in tongues older than time. To interpret a dream is to walk a path of mystery, where every symbol is a key, and every dream is a door to something deeper, waiting to be understood. You might dismiss dreams as fleeting whispers, but they are ancient echoes of a mind you've never fully understood. They speak in a language older than history, and you are its silent listener. Each night, your subconscious weaves a tapestry of symbols, emotions, and forgotten truths. It is as if your soul is trying to tell you something, but the words are veiled in metaphor and mystery. Ancient civilizations saw dreams as divine messages, warnings, or revelations. What if your dreams, too, hold a wisdom you have yet to recognize? You are not just dreaming. You are being dreamed by something vast and unknowable. And in that dreaming, perhaps you are learning something about yourself that you never knew you needed to know. The ancient mysteries of dream interpretation are not just relics of the past. They are a key to unlocking the deeper truths of who you are and why you dream. The first whispers of dreams as messages came from the Mesopotamians, who etched their visions into clay tablets, as if trying to trap the soul in stone. In Egypt, dreams were seen as divine visits, and pharaohs sought the guidance of scribes who interpreted them as omens written in the language of the gods. The Greeks wove dreams into their myths, with Asclepius healing the sick through dream visions, while Aristotle sought to understand them through reason. In medieval Europe, dreams were both a window to the divine and a warning of earthly sins, with the church and mystics alike interpreting them through the lens of faith and fear. The Renaissance saw the birth of the first systematic dream books, where scholars like Paracelsus and Giambattista della Porta began to dissect dreams like an anatomist dissecting flesh. And so, through time, dreams have been a mirror, reflecting the soul, the cosmos, and the mysteries we have never quite understood. Imagine your dreams like stories your brain tells you when you're asleep, and your brain is trying to make sense of the world, even when you're not awake. These stories are not just silly pictures. They're clues about what's happening inside you, like a secret language your brain uses to understand itself. Dreams are like whispers from your own mind, trying to tell you something important, but only if you take the time to listen. And if you listen closely, you might just start to understand yourself better. Like a puzzle that makes sense when you finally see all the pieces. To begin, we must first gather the dream itself, not as a fleeting shadow, but as a relic of the mind's deep corridors. It is the first echo of the unconscious, a whisper carried on the breath of sleep. The dream is not merely remembered. It is felt. It lingers in the marrow, waiting to be retrieved, like an old melody hummed in the dark before dawn. To hold it is to touch the edge of the unknown. The first step is to create a sacred space, a place where the mind can return to the dream without interruption. Here, the boundaries of self dissolve, and the dream is no longer a memory, but a presence. To prepare the mind is to invite the dream back, to let it unfold in the silence between thoughts. This is not a recollection, but a reawakening, a return to the realm where all things are possible. The setup is more than a ritual. It is an act of faith, a gesture toward the hidden truths that dwell beyond waking thought. In this moment, the dream is no longer lost. It is waiting to be found. The mind, in its sleep, begins to weave threads of memory, emotion, and thought into a tapestry of meaning. It does not simply replay the day. It reconfigures it, often in ways that defy logic. This process is both unconscious and deliberate, a quiet dialogue between the self and the deeper layers of the psyche. The dream becomes a mirror, reflecting not just what was, but what might be. In this second step, the dream becomes more than a memory. It becomes a symbol, a metaphor, a language that speaks in riddles and half-truths. It is the mind's attempt to make sense of the chaos. This is where the mystery deepens. The dreamer may not understand the symbols, but the symbols themselves are not random. They are echoes of something ancient, something buried in the human soul. To interpret a dream is to walk through the corridors of the mind, where time bends and the past and future collide. It is not just about the dream. It is about the dreamer. And then, like a whisper through time, comes the clever twist, the dream's own shadow, the echo of its meaning in the stillness of the mind. It's not the dream itself that reveals the truth, but the silence between its images, the unspoken words that linger like ghosts in the corners of the mind. This is where the dream's power lies, not in what is seen, but in what is left unsaid, in the spaces where meaning slips through the cracks of memory. To understand the dream, you must first learn to listen to the silence, to let the mind speak in the pauses between its own revelations. And in that silence, the dream does not end. It merely begins to speak in a language older than words. Beneath the surface of ancient texts and whispered prophecies, a science older than time hums in the silence between dreams and waking. Neuroscience now reveals that the brain does not simply record dreams. It constructs them, weaving fragments of memory into a language the mind understands. Dreams are not messages from the gods, but the brain's attempt to make sense of itself, a kind of inner dialogue in the dark, where meaning is both created and lost. The ancient sages may have known this truth in a way we only now begin to grasp. Dreams as both mystery and map, leading us toward the unknown within. And so we stand between two worlds, ancient and modern, mystical and scientific, each seeking to decode the silent song of the sleeping mind. Imagine a river winding through a vast, uncharted forest. It carries everything, memories, fears, desires, without asking where they came from or where they're going. You stand on the riverbank, not knowing if the current is pulling you toward the unknown or simply reflecting the sky's secrets back to you. Dreams are like that river, carrying meaning, but never revealing its source. We try to name the current, but it always slips through our fingers like sand. Perhaps the real mystery isn't in decoding the dream, but in learning to listen to the river, not as a puzzle, but as a whisper from the unknown. In the end, the river doesn't care if we understand it. It only knows that it must flow and that we must follow. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. You wake up, groggy and disorientated, not sure if you're in your bed or a faraway forest. Your mind is a patchwork of memories, sensations, and strange images that feel both real and impossible. These experiences, dreams, are not just fleeting illusions. They are the brain's way of processing the world, stitching together fragments of memory, emotion, and imagination into something surreal yet meaningful. Dreams are not random. They are a complex interplay of neural activity, emotion, and cognition, revealing the brain's hidden architecture and its relentless quest to make sense of the world. Understanding dreams is like unlocking a secret code written in the language of the brain, a code that holds clues to memory, emotion, and even consciousness itself. So, what happens when we sleep? What is the brain doing, and why do we dream? Let's go deeper into the neurological foundations of dreams. So, what exactly are we talking about? Dreams are the brain's way of processing information, emotions, and memories during sleep. They are a natural, involuntary experience that happens in different stages of the sleep cycle. During REM sleep, when most vivid dreams occur, the brain is highly active, similar to when we are awake. This is when the brain sorts through the day's experiences and emotions, integrating them into our memory systems. Dreams can be surreal, illogical, and emotionally intense. They often reflect our subconscious thoughts, fears, desires, and unresolved conflicts. These elements are not random, but are deeply rooted in our psychological and neurological makeup. Studying dreams gives us insight into how the brain functions, how it stores and retrieves memories, and how it regulates emotions. It's a window into the complex, often mysterious workings of the human mind. By understanding dreams, we can better understand the brain itself, its structure, function, and the intricate processes that shape our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Dreams are not just the byproduct of sleep. They are a window into the brain's most complex operations. They reveal how memory, emotion, and cognition interweave in ways we're only beginning to understand. By studying dreams, we uncover how the brain organizes and reorganizes itself, reinforcing memory and processing trauma in ways that are both protective and profound. Dreams also help us test theories about consciousness, how the mind creates experiences even when we are not fully awake. This challenges our understanding of what it means to be aware. In the long run, understanding dreams may help us build smarter, more adaptive AI systems, ones that don't just mimic thought, but truly simulate the complex, often chaotic nature of human cognition. So, even if you don't remember your dreams, they are quietly shaping your mind, your memories, and your emotional resilience. And that's something worth caring about. Imagine your brain is like a big quiet room. Every night, it starts to hum with a special kind of music. This music isn't real, but it's not empty either. It's your brain dreaming. This music is made by your brain's own electricity. Neurons, like tiny batteries, send messages back and forth. They're not doing anything important, but they're having a fun, secret party. Sometimes, during this party, the brain creates stories, shapes, and sounds. These are your dreams. They're like a movie that only you can see, and no one else can understand. Even though these dreams aren't real, they're really important. They help your brain rest, learn, and stay healthy. So, even if you forget them when you wake up, your brain is still busy working. The brain's dreaming process begins with the activation of specific neural networks during sleep. These networks are responsible for generating the complex patterns of activity that give rise to dreams. During this phase, the brain transitions into a state of reduced external input, allowing for internal processing and the reorganization of memories and emotions. Neural oscillations, particularly in the theta and gamma frequency bands, play a crucial role in stabilizing and coordinating the brain's internal activity during sleep. These oscillations create a kind of neural scaffold that supports the emergence of dream content, linking different brain regions in a coordinated manner. The setup phase is critical, as it primes the brain for the vivid, often surreal experiences that follow in the dream stage. Once the brain begins the process of forming a dream, it activates specific neural pathways that were previously engaged during waking experiences. These pathways are the neural maps of our memories, emotions, and sensations. These pathways don't just replay memories. They reorganize and recombine them, allowing the brain to simulate scenarios that might not exist in reality. This is how dreams become both familiar and strange. As these simulated experiences unfold, the brain's limbic system, particularly the amygdala and hippocampus, becomes highly active. These regions are responsible for processing emotions and consolidating memories, even during sleep. At the same time, the prefrontal cortex, which governs logic and self-awareness, becomes less active. This allows the dreamer to lose touch with reality, giving rise to the often illogical and emotional nature of dreams. Together, these brain regions create a complex internal world where memories, emotions, and imagination merge, forming the essence of a dream. The final twist in this process involves the brain's ability to replay and reorganize memories. During sleep, it doesn't just passively store information. It actively strengthens and refines it, like a sculptor shaping clay. This replay happens through a process called memory consolidation, where the brain reactivates neural pathways to solidify what was learned during the day. Moreover, the brain may also prune unnecessary connections, discarding outdated information to make room for new learning and to optimize cognitive efficiency. This clever twist ensures that dreams are not just random flashes of the mind, but a critical part of the brain's effort to integrate, store, and refine our experiences. In this way, dreams become a silent rehearsal, a hidden curriculum that shapes how we think, feel, and adapt to the world. At the core of our dreaming brains, a symphony of neurons fires in intricate patterns, shaping the landscapes of our unconscious mind. These patterns are not random. They are orchestrated by deep neural networks that have evolved over millennia to process information and consolidate memory. These neural networks are guided by ancient mechanisms, such as the default mode network, which activates during rest and plays a key role in self-reflection and memory retrieval. It's as if the brain is replaying its day, refining its understanding of the world. Neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and acetylcholine act as messengers, modulating the intensity and content of our dreams. Their fluctuating levels explain why some dreams feel vivid, while others slip away like mist. The brain's ability to simulate experiences during sleep is a remarkable feat of evolutionary adaptation. It allows us to rehearse responses, process trauma, and even foster creativity, all without leaving the safety of our beds. Understanding these processes isn't just academic. It's a window into the very essence of consciousness. Every dream is a testament to the brain's complexity, and every sleep is a silent revolution of thought and emotion. Imagine your brain as a vast silent library, where every book represents a memory, thought, or feeling. The shelves are not neatly organized, but rather a chaotic tangle of ideas, some old, some new, all stored in different ways. Now, when you sleep, this library is in a state of quiet turbulence. Some books are being rearranged, others are being rewritten, and some are being rewritten in the wrong language, but the meaning still comes through. The dreaming brain is like a librarian who's been told to just make sense of everything without any instructions. They try their best, but the result is often a mix of logic, nonsense, and weird connections that somehow make sense in the dream world. This is why dreams are often surreal, irrational, and filled with strange imagery. They are not a malfunction, but a deeply rooted process of reorganizing, interpreting, and integrating the vast amount of information your brain processes every day. So while it may seem like a gloriously dumb process, this analogy captures the essence of how dreams function. Messy, chaotic, and yet incredibly effective at shaping our thoughts and emotions. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. You've probably wondered why you dream. But what if I told you that your brain is actually working overtime during sleep, creating these wild, surreal experiences you remember so vividly? It's not just random nonsense. It's a complex, mysterious process that scientists are still trying to decode. And it all starts with a specific stage of sleep called REM sleep. During REM sleep, your brain is as active as when you were awake, but your body is paralyzed, except for your eyes, which move rapidly under your eyelids. This stage is where most of your dreams occur, and it's also when your brain processes emotions, memories, and even helps you learn. So next time you wake up with a strange dream, remember, you're not just dreaming. You're also learning, healing, and maybe even solving problems you didn't realize you had. When we talk about REM sleep, we're talking about the stage of sleep where most of our dreams happen. It's a unique phase, marked by rapid eye movements, heightened brain activity, and a temporary paralysis of our muscles. During REM sleep, our brain is almost as active as when we're fully awake. This is where the vivid, often bizarre dreams we remember so well are created. What makes REM sleep different from other stages is that our body is essentially offline. Our muscles are paralyzed to prevent us from acting out our dreams. But our brain is still very much on. The exact purpose of REM sleep is still a mystery to scientists, but it's strongly linked to memory consolidation, emotional regulation, and even creative thinking. So when we're talking about REM sleep, we're really talking about the brain's secret world, a place where we process emotions, imagine new possibilities, and experience the mystery of dreaming. You might not remember your dreams, but your brain is busy repairing and reorganizing memories during REM sleep. This is how your mind strengthens learning and emotional responses, shaping your ability to think and feel. Lack of REM sleep can lead to mood swings, poor concentration, and even memory loss. It's not just about dreams. It's about how well your brain functions in waking life. REM sleep also plays a role in creativity. Many artists, writers, and scientists report that their best ideas come from dreams, a product of the brain's unique activity during this stage. Without enough REM sleep, your brain can't properly consolidate what you've learned, making it harder to retain new information or adapt to new situations. So, even though you might not notice it, your brain is working hard during REM sleep. And it's doing things that deeply affect your waking life, your emotions, and your ability to learn and create. Let's jump back to the 1950s, when researchers first started to understand what's happening in our brains during sleep. They noticed something strange. The eyes were moving, and the brain was super active. They called this state REM sleep, short for rapid eye movement. It was a puzzle because the brain was working hard, but the body was paralyzed, like it was preparing for something imaginary. In the 1970s, scientists made a breakthrough. They realized REM sleep was linked to dreaming. The brain was processing emotions, memories, and even creativity in a way that felt like a simulation of reality. As we moved into the 21st century, neuroimaging gave us a deeper look. We saw how REM sleep wasn't just about dreams. It was a vital part of mental health, memory, and even emotional resilience. Today, we know that REM sleep is essential for learning, problem solving, and even emotional healing. It's like the brain is running through a movie of our lives, trying to make sense of it all. Imagine your brain as like a movie theater, and during REM sleep, it's playing the wildest movie ever. Your eyes twitch like you're watching something super exciting. Your brain is making up all sorts of stories, like a crazy dream where you fly or chase a monster. But you don't know it's just your brain's imagination. Even though you're asleep, your brain is super active, creating all these wild dreams. It's like your brain is trying to figure out things, even when you're not awake. So, REM sleep is like your brain's favorite movie night. It's where your dreams happen and your brain gets to play and explore without being stopped. REM sleep begins with the brain transitioning from non-REM to REM, marked by rapid eye movements and a drop in muscle tone. This phase is crucial for brain activity that fuels dreams. As the brain enters REM, the body's muscles relax to prevent physical movement, even though the brain is highly active. This is known as atonia. The brain's prefrontal cortex, which handles logic and decision-making, becomes less active, while the limbic system, tied to emotions, becomes more engaged. This shift in brain activity creates the perfect environment for dreams to emerge, blending emotions, memories, and imagination in a surreal and personal way. The setup for dreaming is complete. Now the brain can start constructing the vivid and often bizarre world of REM sleep. As REM sleep deepens, the brain's activity intensifies, especially in regions linked to emotion and memory. The prefrontal cortex, which usually keeps us grounded in reality, becomes less active, allowing dreams to take hold. During this phase, the brainstem sends signals to the muscles through the spinal cord, a process called active inhibition. This prevents us from acting out our dreams, keeping us safe while we sleep. Meanwhile, the brain's visual cortex becomes highly active, even though our eyes are closed. This explains why dreams often feel so vivid and immersive, as if we're truly experiencing them. The brain also processes and consolidates memories from the day, integrating new information into existing neural networks. This helps with learning and emotional regulation. So in REM sleep, the brain is like a dream machine, activating emotions, memories, and senses in a way that feels real, even though we're in a state of deep rest. Now, the brain begins to play tricks on itself. It starts to mix and match memories, emotions, and sensory input from the day, creating a kind of mental collage. This is the clever twist that makes dreams so strange and unpredictable. This mixing of memories is like a mental remix. The brain doesn't just replay events, it recombines them in new ways, often leading to bizarre or illogical scenarios. This helps to process complex information in a safe, imaginary environment. This mental remix isn't random. It's actually a way for the brain to make sense of confusing or unresolved experiences. It's like a virtual lab where the mind experiments with different emotional and cognitive outcomes. The brain uses this creative jumble to strengthen neural connections, consolidate learning, and even solve problems that were too complex to handle while awake. It's a kind of mental gymnastics, performed in the safety of sleep. In this final twist, the brain not only dreams, but also relearns, reorganizes, and reimagines. It's a powerful subconscious process that shapes our thoughts, emotions, and even our sense of self. REM sleep is the stage where dreams are most vivid and intense. The brain is highly active, even though the body is paralyzed, a protective mechanism that prevents us from acting out our dreams. During REM sleep, the brain's prefrontal cortex, which governs logic and self-awareness, is less active. This allows the emotional and imaginative parts of the brain to take the lead, creating the wild, surreal landscapes of our dreams. The brain's limbic system, particularly the amygdala, is more active during REM sleep. This region is responsible for processing emotions, which explains why dreams often feel intensely emotional and even traumatic. During REM sleep, the brain's temporal lobes, which are linked to memory and language, are also highly active. This is why dreams can often feel like fragmented memories or stories with a narrative structure. This complex interplay of brain regions during REM sleep gives us the rich, emotional, and often bizarre experiences we call dreams. It's like the brain is rehearsing, processing, and reinterpreting our experiences in a safe, unconscious space. Imagine your brain is like a movie studio, and REM sleep is the director. It's not just creating a film. It's also editing, rehearsing, and even rewriting the script. During REM sleep, your brain is acting out scenes from your day, mixing in old memories and even improvising new ones, all while your body is on mute. This director isn't just making up stories. It's also organizing your thoughts, processing emotions, and helping your mind make sense of the chaos of the day. And just like a movie studio, your brain doesn't just stop after the credits roll. It's setting up for the next day's scenes, even if you don't remember it. So next time you dream, think of it like a blockbuster film, full of drama, action, and a little bit of magic, all produced by your sleeping brain. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. You wake up in the middle of the night, disorientated, with a strange image lingering in your mind, like a half-remembered dream. It's not just a fleeting memory. It feels like a doorway, a glimpse into something deeper than yourself. Dreams are not just random flashes of color and sound. They're fragments of a language we've forgotten, a code that the mind uses to communicate with parts of itself that it can't access while awake. Some say dreams are the mind's way of processing trauma. Others believe they're a bridge between our conscious and unconscious selves. But what if they're just the mind's way of trying to make sense of the chaos of being human? This video is about more than just dreams. It's about what they reveal about the hidden parts of us, our fears, our desires, our unresolved questions, and why they feel so real even when we wake up. When we speak of dreams, we're not just talking about the random images that flicker in our minds at night. We're peering into a world that operates on its own rules, a place where time bends and logic dissolves. It's a landscape shaped by our deepest fears, our buried desires, and the echoes of our unresolved emotions. It's where the subconscious writes its own story, often without our awareness. Dreams can be cryptic, strange, and sometimes even terrifying, but they offer us a rare glimpse into parts of ourselves that we rarely access in our waking lives. They are not just random images, but reflections of our innermost thoughts, unfiltered and unapologetic, a mirror held up to the soul in its most vulnerable state. To understand dreams is to understand the mind's hidden language, a language that speaks in symbols, metaphors, and emotions, rather than words. You think your dreams are just random noise? But they're actually the subconscious trying to make sense of the chaos of your waking life. They're like a mirror held up to your inner world, revealing parts of yourself you've forgotten or never fully understood. When you dream, you're not just escaping reality, you're confronting it. Every strange figure, every unfamiliar place, every unresolved conflict is a message from the depths of your mind, begging to be heard. You might dismiss them as nonsense, but your subconscious is working harder than you realize. It's piecing together the fragments of your life, trying to make meaning where there is none. To ignore your dreams is to ignore the part of yourself that knows more than you do. They're not just stories, they're warnings, invitations, and sometimes revelations. Even if you don't remember them, they're shaping your thoughts, your choices, and your sense of self. The subconscious isn't just a dark place, it's a powerful one, and it's watching you. In the ancient world, dreams were not just fleeting thoughts. They were messages from the gods, the voices of ancestors, or the whispers of the soul itself. Civilizations built temples and wrote scrolls to interpret what they saw. The Greeks saw dreams as a bridge between the mortal and the divine, a place where the gods could speak through the mind of a sleeping man. They called it oneiromancy, the art of reading dreams. The Renaissance brought a shift. Artists and thinkers began to view dreams as a realm of creativity and insight. Leonardo da Vinci wrote about them, and Michelangelo saw them as a source of divine inspiration. In the 19th century, Freud revolutionized the field by proposing that dreams were a window into the unconscious, filled with repressed desires and hidden meanings. He called it the royal road to the unconscious. Today, we continue to look into that window, not with fear or reverence, but with curiosity and science. Dreams remain a mystery, but they remind us that beneath the surface of our minds, there is a world waiting to be explored. Dreams are like a secret door in your head. When you sleep, your brain paints a world that feels real, even if it's made up. It's like your mind is trying to tell you something you can't quite see when you're awake. Sometimes the things you dream about are just your mind playing with old memories, but other times they feel like they come from somewhere deeper, like your heart is whispering, even when you don't understand what it's saying. Dreams are like clues. They don't always make sense, but if you look closely, you might see a pattern. It's like finding pieces of a puzzle that your mind is trying to put together. So when you dream, don't just close your eyes and forget. Let your mind wander, and maybe you'll find something you didn't know was there, something about yourself that you've never seen before. Before the dream begins, there is a quiet moment, a stillness that precedes the storm. You lie in bed, eyes closed, breathing steady, the world outside fading into the background. The mind is not yet asleep, but it is already preparing for the journey ahead. The body relaxes, muscles release, and the mind begins to drift. You're no longer conscious in the way you are during waking life, but you are still aware of the sensations that anchor you to the present. This is the space between wakefulness and sleep, where the subconscious begins to stir. In this liminal space, your thoughts become less controlled. Ideas, memories, and emotions begin to surface without the filter of logic. It's as if the mind is unlearning the rules of reality, allowing for the first whispers of the dream world to enter. The mind starts to let go of the waking world. The body remains in place, but the consciousness begins to float, to drift, to become untethered from the physical. This is the first step into the dream, the moment when the subconscious begins to take the lead. And then, the first image appears. It is not a thought, not a memory, but something entirely new, something that has never been seen before. It is the first glimpse of the dream world, a flicker of the subconscious reaching out to shape the unknown. When the mind enters the realm of dreams, it begins to sift through the raw material of the subconscious, emotions, memories, and unresolved thoughts. These fragments are not just random. They are the echoes of what we've ignored or suppressed. The subconscious reconfigures these fragments into symbols, metaphors, and narratives. This is how the mind communicates with itself when waking logic is turned off. These symbols are often distorted or exaggerated, reflecting the mind's struggle to make sense of what it cannot fully grasp. A dream may show a falling building to represent feelings of instability or fear. The brain uses dreams to process and integrate these emotions, often in ways that are both confusing and deeply personal. It's a form of therapy, a quiet dialogue between the conscious and the hidden self. By understanding the mechanism behind dreams, we begin to see how the subconscious works, not as a puzzle to solve, but as a mirror that reflects our innermost truths. The third step is the clever twist, a moment where the subconscious dares to play with time and logic. It doesn't just tell you what you want to know. It shows you what you need to feel. This twist often comes in the form of a symbol, a recurring image, or a phrase that feels both familiar and foreign. It's the subconscious trying to bypass the mind's defenses and speak directly to the heart. This twist is not meant to be deciphered like a riddle, but to be felt. It's a mirror held up to the self, reflecting parts of you that have been buried or ignored. To understand the twist, you must surrender to the mystery. It's not about finding answers, but about opening yourself to the possibility that the subconscious is trying to heal you. This step is the turning point in the dream's journey, the moment where the dream shifts from being a reflection to becoming a guide. It's the subconscious saying, "I see you." The science of dreams is like a whisper in the dark, a patterned hum that our brains never stop making. It's not random, it's a code, a language that we're still trying to translate. Neuroscientists have found that during REM sleep, our brain activity spikes, like a symphony of thoughts, memories, and emotions playing out in rapid bursts. Dreams are a kind of mental rehearsal, a place where the mind experiments with fears, desires, and possibilities, all without consequence. The science of dreams is not just about what we see in our sleep. It's about what we're not seeing, the silent work of the brain that shapes who we are. And perhaps, in the quiet hum of our dreams, we're not just passively drifting. We're actively building, healing, and becoming. Dreams are like a broken mirror, reflecting not the face we see, but the fragments we've forgotten. We don't control the glass, only the way we look at the shards. Each shard is a memory, a feeling, a question we never asked aloud. We piece them together in the dark, trying to make sense of what we can't quite see. The subconscious doesn't care about logic or clarity. It only knows how to speak in symbols, in stories we don't remember writing. It's a language we're still learning. So when we dream, we're not just visiting another world. We're trying to understand the one we're in. The mirror is broken, but maybe that's where the truth begins. Dreams are not a way out. They're a way in. A gloriously dumb but accurate analogy for how the subconscious speaks and how we might finally listen. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. I've always been fascinated by the way our minds work at night. When we sleep, the world we know fades away, and something strange begins to take its place. It's during these hours, when the conscious self is asleep, that the subconscious paints vivid landscapes, filled with symbols, emotions, and stories that often feel more real than waking life. But most of the time, they slip away like sand through our fingers. Dream recall is the art of holding on to those moments before they vanish. In this video, we're going to explore the strange and beautiful world of dream recall, how to remember your dreams, and why it might matter. Dream recall isn't just about remembering what you dreamed. It's about reconnecting with a part of yourself that exists outside the waking mind. It's like touching a memory you've never fully grasped, but somehow feel deep in your bones. Dreams are fragments of the subconscious, often chaotic, poetic, and deeply personal. They can reveal emotions, fears, and desires that we're not fully aware of in our waking lives. But how do we bridge the gap between the dream worlds and the waking one? It's not just about remembering. It's about cultivating a kind of awareness that allows us to step back into the dream, even if just for a moment. Dream recall is a skill, one that requires patience, practice, and a willingness to explore the unknown. It's not always easy, but it can be incredibly revealing. So what we're really talking about is a journey inward, a way to tap into the deeper layers of the self that often remain hidden in the noise of daily life. Dreams are the only time you're truly unfiltered. They reveal what you've buried, what you've ignored, and what you've never dared to feel. They're the last honest conversation you have with yourself. If you can remember your dreams, you can start to understand the mind that you've spent your whole life trying to control. It's like looking into a mirror that reflects not just your face, but your unspoken fears and desires. There is power in knowing your dreams. It's the first step toward knowing yourself. It's the quiet revolution that begins in the dark and spills into the light. Secretly caring about dream recall means you're willing to confront the parts of you that are afraid to be seen. It means you're ready to start healing, even if you don't know where to begin. The first recorded attempts to remember dreams date back to ancient Egypt, where scribes etched their visions onto papyrus, believing dreams were messages from the gods. In Greece, philosophers like Plato and Aristotle debated whether dreams were divine or a product of the mind, laying the foundation for later psychological inquiry. During the Middle Ages, dreams were often seen as omens or warnings, and dream interpretation became a central practice in religious and medical traditions. The Renaissance brought a shift in perspective, with thinkers like Leonardo da Vinci documenting their dreams in detail, suggesting a growing curiosity about the mind's hidden landscapes. It wasn't until the 20th century, with Freud and Jung, that dream recall began to be studied as a psychological phenomenon, bridging myth and science. Today, the art of dream recall is both a personal quest and a scientific pursuit, with practitioners and researchers still uncovering the mysteries of the dreaming mind. Dreams are like secret messages your brain sends you every night. They're not just silly stories, they're clues about your thoughts, feelings, and even your future. But your brain forgets them fast, like a game of hide and seek. That's why you have to be a detective and remember what you saw before you wake up. The trick is to be ready when you sleep. Like waiting for a friend to visit, you set the mood and remind your brain, I want to remember what you're telling me. Then, when you wake up, you pause and take a deep breath. It's like putting on a pair of glasses. You start to see the dream again, piece by piece. And if you keep doing this, like learning a new song, your brain starts to play the dreams back to you, like a movie you finally get to watch. The first step in dream recall is creating a consistent bedtime routine. It's not just about falling asleep, but about preparing your mind to stay awake in the dream world. This routine might include journaling, meditation, or even a short visualization. The goal is to build a bridge between your waking and dreaming consciousness. It's important to set an intention before sleep. You might say to yourself, I will remember my dreams, or I will wake up knowing what I dreamed. This intention becomes a mental anchor, a signal to your subconscious that it's time to stay aware in the dream state. It's a quiet, internal commitment. The setup is more than habit. It's a sacred space where your mind is invited to stay conscious, even as it drifts into the world of dreams. The second step involves understanding the brain's natural rhythm during sleep, where the mind transitions between different stages, allowing for the possibility of lucid dreaming and dream recall. During REM sleep, the brain is highly active, and it's during this phase that most vivid dreams occur. It's like the mind is running a simulation, and sometimes it allows fragments of that simulation to surface upon waking. The brain's ability to recall dreams is closely tied to memory consolidation, a process that occurs during sleep. It's not just about remembering, but about the brain reorganizing and integrating the experiences of the dream. Sometimes, the brain doesn't fully transition from the dream state to wakefulness, which is why some people report feeling as though they're still in a dream when they first open their eyes. This liminal space between dream and waking is where recall is most fragile. It's why techniques like keeping a dream journal or using reality checks can help anchor the mind and improve the chances of remembering. Now, a clever twist comes when you shift your focus from chasing dreams to observing them. Instead of trying to hold on to a dream, you allow it to flow like water, letting it move through your mind without resistance. This subtle shift in mindset is what separates casual dreamers from those who truly remember their dreams. It's not about capturing the dream, but about being present within it. By letting go of the need to control the dream, you open the door to deeper insight. This shift in focus often leads to more vivid, meaningful dreams that are easier to remember. This third step is where the dream becomes a mirror, reflecting not just your thoughts, but your subconscious desires, fears, and unspoken truths. It's the moment when dreams stop being escapes and start becoming revelations. The clever twist is not just a technique, but a mindset, one that allows you to be both the observer and the participant in your own dreaming. This is where true dream recall begins. Beneath the surface of dream recall lies a complex web of neural activity, where the brain's default mode network flickers with memory fragments, trying to make sense of the chaos. Studies show that REM sleep is when most vivid dreaming occurs, but it's the prefrontal cortex that often fails to file these dreams properly, leaving them scattered and forgotten. Some researchers believe that the act of recalling a dream may actually alter the dream itself, reinforcing memory pathways and creating a feedback loop between mind and memory. This is why some people report their dreams becoming more coherent when they consistently try to remember them. The brain is learning to file them more effectively. The science of dream recall is still unfolding, but it's clear that the mind, in its dreaming state, is a landscape of memory, emotion, and untapped potential. Dream recall is like trying to remember a song you heard in a store, but only caught the last note. You might not remember the beginning, but the end is vivid, and you're sure it was beautiful. It's not that the song isn't there. It's just that it's not yet ready to be played. Sometimes, all you need is a reminder, a trigger, and the melody will return with clarity. Dream recall is not about force. It's about patience and the courage to let the memory return on its own terms. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. I remember lying awake in the dark, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I was dreaming or just thinking. The line between them had always felt too thin, too blurred. In literature, dreams are often more than illusions. They are maps of the soul or warnings from the unconscious, or glimpses into alternate realities that we can never quite return to. Philosophers have long debated whether dreams are windows to truth or prisons of the mind. Some say they reveal the deepest truths, while others claim they are just the mind's way of coping with the chaos of waking life. In every dream, there is a question. What is real? What is imagined? And what does it mean when the dream fades? And we wake, only to wonder if we were ever truly awake at all. This video is about the strange, sacred space where literature and philosophy meet, the world of dreams. Let's explore it together. So what exactly are we talking about? Dreams have always been more than just the stuff we see when we close our eyes at night. They're the quiet whispers of the mind, the fragments of a story we're not yet ready to finish. In literature, dreams are a gateway to the unknown, where the rules of reality bend and the boundaries of the self dissolve. They offer a space to explore the deepest parts of the human experience. Philosophers have long pondered whether dreams are a window into truth or a reflection of the mind's inner chaos. Are they a glimpse of reality, or a mirage conjured by the unconscious? To study dreams is to confront the mystery of consciousness itself. It's a journey through the subconscious, where logic fades and the soul speaks in symbols. In both literature and philosophy, dreams are not just what we see in sleep. They're a mirror to the soul, a language that transcends waking life. Dreams are not just the province of sleep. They're the quietest rebellion against the known world. They speak in languages we've forgotten, and they ask questions we're too afraid to answer. When we dream, we are not just seeing the world differently. We are redefining what it means to be human. Literature and philosophy have always been the mirrors that show us who we are when we're not looking. You might think dreams are just the mind's way of making sense of chaos, but they are also the raw material for meaning. Every great story, every philosophical idea starts with a dream. To care about dreams is to care about the possibility of something beyond us. It's to acknowledge that there are truths we can't reach with logic alone. And that's where the real work begins. So, when you dismiss dreams as fleeting, remember that they are the silent architects of meaning. They shape the stories we tell and the ideas we live by. And that, in the end, is why you should care. In ancient times, dreams were seen as messages from the gods. They were not just fleeting thoughts, but sacred whispers that shaped the course of history and belief. In Homer's epics, dreams served as divine prophecies, guiding heroes through peril and uncertainty. They were tools of fate, as much as weapons or wisdom. With the rise of philosophy, dreams became a battleground for reason. Plato saw them as shadows of the soul, while Aristotle dissected them as reflections of the mind. In the Renaissance, dreams became symbols of the human spirit's reach. They were both the source of madness and the wellspring of genius, as artists and thinkers chased the divine in the dark. Now, in the age of science, dreams are dissected by neurology, yet still haunt us in ways that no machine can explain. They remain the last frontier of the human experience. Dreams are like secret messages from your brain, telling you things you know you need to hear. They can show you your fears, your hopes, and even the parts of yourself you've forgotten. In books and stories, dreams help us understand who we are and what we're trying to find. They're not just random pictures in your head. They're like clues to your heart and your mind. So, when you dream, think of it as your brain trying to help you make sense of the world, just like a story helps you understand life. The first step in understanding dreams is to set the stage, both in the mind and in the world around us. Dreams are not spontaneous. They emerge from the quiet soil of memory and emotion. Before the dream begins, there is a moment of stillness, a pause where the mind gathers fragments of the past, the present, and the unspoken. It is in this silence that the dreamer becomes both the witness and the participant. This setup is not just physical. It is emotional, psychological, and often deeply personal. The mind, like an artist, begins to arrange the elements of the dream, drawing from the palette of experience. In this moment, the dreamer is neither fully awake nor fully asleep. They are in a liminal space, a threshold between states, where meaning is shaped and reality is redefined. The setup is the beginning of the dream's architecture. It is a delicate balance between what is known and what is yet to be revealed, a quiet invitation to explore the unknown. In the second step, the mind begins to reconfigure reality, not by erasing it, but by rearranging it. It doesn't question the world, but instead it reimagines it through the lens of what it already knows. This is where the subconscious begins to play with symbols and metaphors, not as puzzles to solve, but as invitations to explore. The mind does not seek answers, but rather, it creates meaning. In this state, time stretches and contracts, space folds in on itself, and the familiar becomes strange. The mind is no longer bound by the logic of the world. but by the logic of possibility. The second step is not an end, but a transition. It is where the dream begins to form, not as an escape, but as an exploration. It is a space where the self can confront its own mysteries. And so the mechanism unfolds, not as a mystery to be solved, but as a journey to be felt. It is a bridge between the known and the unknown, the real and the imagined. The clever twist isn't just a reveal, it's a reorientation of meaning, a shift in the reader's or listener's understanding that makes the dream feel more real than the waking world. It's the moment when the dreamer realizes they're not just dreaming, but re-experiencing a memory, or perhaps a prophecy, or even a metaphor for something they've always known but never understood. The twist often comes from the dreamer's own voice, when the dream becomes a dialogue, a reflection, or a warning, and the listener is forced to ask whether they are the one dreaming or the one being dreamed by. This is the moment when the dream isn't just a story. It's a mirror, a map, a message. And we, the dreamers and the dreamt, are left to wonder who is holding the pen and who is holding the hand. There is a science to dreams, a quiet hum beneath the surface of what we call imagination. It's not just metaphor, but a language that the brain speaks in the dark, one that we're only beginning to understand. Neuroscience tells us that dreams are the brain's way of processing memory, emotion, and unresolved thoughts. They are the ghostly echoes of our waking lives, replayed in a world where logic is suspended. Literature and philosophy have long wrestled with the meaning of dreams, but now, with science, we have a new kind of mirror. It reflects not just our thoughts, but the very architecture of our minds. This science is not cold or detached. It is a hum, a vibration beneath the surface of the mind, a reminder that even our wildest dreams are shaped by the quiet machinery of the brain. And perhaps, in the end, the dream is not something to be escaped from, but something to be embraced. A truth that is both scientific and sacred, unfolding in the silence between waking and sleep. Dreams are like the old family car, familiar, creaky, but somehow always gets you home. You know every creak and groan, every loose bolt and forgotten trip, but still, you trust it. It's not about where it takes you, but the fact that it takes you at all, even when it's broken. Dreams are the car, and we're all just trying to drive home, even if we don't know where we are. Sometimes the journey is the only thing that matters, and sometimes that's enough. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. In the quiet hours before dawn, when the mind is still and the world is silent, something strange begins to stir. It's not just sleep, it's a gateway, a place where the impossible takes shape. Dreams are not random. They are fragments of thought, memory, and emotion, stitched together in ways we don't fully understand. They are the mind's way of making sense of chaos. Creativity isn't born in the waking world. It often starts in the dark, where ideas are born free from the constraints of reason. Innovation, like dreams, is a process of letting go, of surrendering to the unknown, and trusting that something new will emerge from the silence. The line between dreaming and doing is thin, and it's in that space between, that strange, liminal place where the greatest ideas are born. When we talk about dreams, we're not just talking about the random images that flicker in our minds at night. We're talking about a raw, unfiltered space where thoughts and ideas collide without the constraints of logic or reason. Dreams are the subconscious mind's way of processing reality, often blending memories, fears, and desires into strange, symbolic landscapes that feel both familiar and alien. Dreams can be the birthplace of creativity. They often offer fresh perspectives, unexpected connections, and strange metaphors that can later be reinterpreted as insights or inspirations. But to truly harness the power of dreams, we need to pay attention to them, to remember them, and to interpret them, not as random noise, but as signals from a deeper part of ourselves. So when we talk about dreams and creativity, we're not just exploring the mind's nighttime wanderings. We're uncovering a vast hidden potential that shapes the way we think, feel, and create. You think dreams are just random, fleeting things, but they're actually a mirror of your subconscious. They reveal what you're truly afraid of, what you're longing for, and what you're not even aware you're missing. When you dream, you're not just imagining. You're reworking reality in your mind. Every strange image, every surreal twist is a fragment of your mind trying to make sense of the chaos of life. In the 19th century, scientists and artists alike began to take dreams seriously. It was during this time that the idea of the unconscious mind started to take shape, influencing everything from psychology to literature. Sigmund Freud, with his book The Interpretation of Dreams, suggested that dreams were a window into the unconscious. But he didn't just see them as random. He believed they held meaning, even if it was hidden. Meanwhile, in the world of art, dreamers like Salvador Dali were using their visions to create surreal, otherworldly works. His melting clocks and floating landscapes were direct translations of his dreams into reality. The 20th century saw dreams become a part of innovation, as creators from all walks of life started to explore the power of the unconscious. Whether through writing, science, or music, dreams became a wellspring of ideas. Today, the influence of dreams is more visible than ever. From AI-generated art inspired by dream logic to creative industries built on the idea of dreaming big, the past continues to shape the present in ways we're only beginning to understand. Imagine your brain as a playground where you can build anything, even things you've never seen before. That's where dreams start. When you sleep, your mind isn't just off. It's working on new ideas, mixing things you've learned with things you've imagined. Sometimes, the best ideas come when you're not even trying. When your brain is free to wander, like a kid in a toy store. So, when you dream, you're not just sleeping. You're letting your mind create the future, one wild idea at a time. The first step in the process begins with a quiet mind and an open heart. It's not just about falling asleep. It's about creating a space where the subconscious can move freely, unburdened by the noise of the waking world. This is the setup. A mental and physical stillness that allows the mind to drift beyond the constraints of logic. It's not a forced trance, but a natural descent into a state where the mind is both awake and asleep, suspended between two realities. In this state, the brain begins to rewire itself, drawing from memories, emotions, and fragments of thought to form new connections. It's not just a passive process, it's an active one, where the mind is constantly reinterpreting and reshaping what it knows. The setup is crucial because it determines the quality of the dream, and, by extension, the depth of the insight that can emerge. It's not just about sleep. It's about preparation, intention, and the willingness to let the unconscious guide you. This is where the dream begins to take shape, not as a random occurrence, but as a carefully constructed moment of possibility. The setup is the foundation, and from it, the creative process can truly take flight. In the second step, the brain begins to rewire itself. During sleep, neural pathways that were once rigid and structured start to untangle, allowing new connections to form in unexpected ways. This process isn't random. It's guided by the brain's need to make sense of fragmented information, to fill in gaps, and to reframe problems from a fresh perspective. These new connections often lead to novel ideas, but they're not fully formed. They're like half-finished sketches, waiting for waking consciousness to refine and give them shape. The mind is not just dreaming. It's problem-solving in the silent language of the subconscious, where logic and imagination merge in a quiet, relentless dance. This is how creativity is born, not in the waking world, but in the stillness of sleep, where the mind's most profound questions find their answers. The clever twist comes when the subconscious recombines fragments into something new, not just a replay of what was seen. It's as if the mind is playing a game of its own, rearranging pieces to create a puzzle that wasn't there before. This is where the magic of dreaming diverges from waking thought. The mind doesn't just recall, it transforms, blending memory, emotion, and logic into a strange and beautiful coherence. This is the moment of revelation, when the dreamer realizes that what they thought was random has actually been guiding them toward a deeper understanding. The clever twist is the bridge between the dream and the waking world. It's not just a memory, it's a message, a hint, a spark of something greater waiting to be realized. Dreams are not just the brain's way of winding down. They are a kind of neural rehearsal, where the mind simulates new possibilities without the constraints of reality. During REM sleep, the brain's default mode network is highly active, linking memory, emotion, and imagination in ways that fuel unexpected connections. Studies show that people who dream about a problem are more likely to find creative solutions upon waking, as if the mind has been working through it all night. The science of dreams is still unfolding, but one thing is clear: they are not just passive experiences. They are a hidden engine of human potential. Imagine a world where the rules are made up, where logic is a suggestion and imagination is the only law. That's what dreams are. A playground for the mind, where creativity is free to roam. In this world, the most absurd ideas can take shape, and the wildest thoughts become real. It's like a laboratory of the soul, where the impossible is just a starting point. Dreams are the unfiltered version of our mind's work. They're the place where our subconscious can finally speak, without the noise of reason or expectation. To dismiss dreams as nonsense is to miss the greatest source of innovation. They're not just fleeting images. They're the blueprint of what we're capable of creating. So let's not be afraid of the dumb, the absurd, the strange. Those are the things that make the world new again. And sometimes the most glorious idea is the one that started as a dream. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. You ever feel like your mind is a room you can't quite leave? Like the walls are closing in and the light is fading, but you still can't stop looking for the door. Dreams are supposed to be escape, but sometimes they feel like the only thing keeping you grounded. Like they're not just stories, but reflections of the chaos inside. But when those dreams start to blur with reality, when the boundaries between them fade, it's not just a story anymore. It's a signal that something needs to be healed. Healing isn't about getting rid of the dreams. It's about learning to listen to them, to understand what they're trying to say, and to find a way to carry them without being carried away. Therapy isn't a magic fix. It's a conversation, a place where you can let your mind speak, and where someone else will listen, not to fix you, but to help you understand yourself. So what exactly are we talking about? It's not just about big dreams or small goals. It's about the quiet ache in your chest when you feel stuck, when the world feels too loud, and your own thoughts feel like they're pulling you under. It's about the moments you feel like you're not enough, like you're trapped in a cycle you can't break. And it's not about being weak. It's about being human, and sometimes human means struggling. Therapy isn't a magic fix. It's a space, a safe, steady place where you can finally say, "I'm not okay," and not feel like you're failing. It's about showing up, even when you don't feel like it. And it's about realizing that healing isn't a straight line. It's a winding path, and you're allowed to walk it step by step. You don't have to be broken to need help. Sometimes the most fragile parts of us are the ones that need the most care. And that's okay. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. When you're hurting, it's easy to feel like you're alone. But healing isn't a solo journey. It's about being willing to reach out. even when it feels like the world is too loud to hear you. Therapy isn't about fixing you. It's about learning to live with yourself and with your dreams, without fear of losing them to the weight of the present. You don't have to have everything figured out to start healing. Even small steps, when taken with intention, can lead to big changes in how you see yourself and your future. The truth is, caring about your mental health isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. And it's a sign that you still believe in your dreams, even when the world feels too heavy to carry them. Back in the 1800s, people didn't talk about their feelings like they do now. Mental health was seen as something to be hidden, something to be feared. But even then, some brave souls were trying to understand what was going on inside. Pioneers like Freud started digging into the mind, but their methods were rough. They talked about talking cures and unconscious desires, which felt more like guesswork than healing. Still, they laid the first bricks for what we now call therapy. In the mid-20th century, things started changing. Psychopharmacology came into play, and medications like Prozac gave people tools to feel better. But it was still unclear if they were fixing the problem or just numbing it. The 1970s and 80s brought more openness. Therapy became more accessible, and people began to see their pain not as a weakness, but as a signal. It was a shift from fixing to healing, from seeing mental health as a problem to seeing it as a journey. Today, we're in a place where therapy is not just a tool, but a way of living. It's about showing up for yourself, and learning to hold space for the parts of you that are still figuring things out. Dreams are like your brain's way of making sense of the world, even when it's confusing. Sometimes they help you feel better. Other times, they just make you feel stuck. Therapy isn't just about talking. It's about someone helping you feel heard, and slowly learning how to hold your own thoughts without breaking. Healing isn't a straight line. It's like walking through a forest. Sometimes you have to stop and look around, or even sit down and rest. You're allowed to feel lost, and you're allowed to feel like you're finding your way. Both are parts of the same journey. Dreams and mental health are not separate things. They're like two sides of the same coin, both important, both worth healing. So, you're here because you're ready to take a step toward healing. It starts with a single question. What do I need? That question is the first breath in a long, slow exhale. It's not about fixing something, but about understanding where you are. You might feel like you're standing at the edge of a quiet storm, unsure of how to begin. That's okay. The first step is simply acknowledging that you're not alone in this. You're allowed to feel lost, and you're allowed to start from wherever you are. The setup is about more than a meeting. It's about creating a safe space where your story can be heard without judgment. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to be willing to begin. You may feel hesitant, even scared, but remember, this is not a race. Healing is not about speed, but about presence. You're not being asked to jump in. You're being asked to take the first step, and that's enough. This is where the journey begins, not with a destination, but with a moment of courage. You're not alone, and you're not being asked to do this all by yourself. You're allowed to start here with this one step. When you sit in the chair, you're not just meeting someone. You're opening a door to a space where you can finally be seen, heard, and understood without judgment. Therapy isn't about fixing you. It's about helping you understand yourself better and learning to hold space for your emotions without feeling alone. In therapy, you don't have to have all the answers. You just have to show up. And sometimes, that's the bravest thing you can do. Therapy is a space where you can explore your thoughts, fears, and hopes, and find out that it's okay to not have all the answers yet. The mechanism of therapy is simple, but powerful. It's about building a relationship where you can feel safe to be yourself and begin to heal. So, you're in the middle of the journey, and suddenly, the path seems to bend in a way you didn't expect. It's not just about talking. It's about creating space for the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. Therapy isn't always about solving problems right away. Sometimes it's about noticing the patterns, the silence, the way your body holds on to pain you can't quite name. This clever twist is about giving yourself permission to be both the observer and the observed. It's about learning to sit with discomfort without rushing to fix it. It's not a shortcut. It's a shift. It's about redefining what healing means, not as a destination, but as a process of returning to yourself, again and again. When we dream, our brain is not just replaying the day. It's sorting memories, processing emotions, and trying to make sense of the chaos. It's like a quiet revolution happening inside our skulls, one that we're rarely aware of. Neuroscience shows that during REM sleep, the brain's emotional centers are highly active, while the logical parts take a back seat. This is why dreams often feel so raw, so real, and so full of unresolved feelings. Therapy is not just about talking. It's about decoding the language of the mind, translating the cryptic symbols of dreams into something we can understand and heal from. Healing is not a straight line. It's a spiral, a loop, a return to the same emotions, but with more clarity, more compassion, and more courage to face them again. The science of dreams and therapy isn't just about the mind. It's about the heart, the soul, and the courage to let ourselves be seen, heard, and understood. So imagine your mind is like a messy room, full of things you've picked up, some useful, some not. You can't see what's important because everything's just piled up. Therapy isn't about cleaning up the room instantly. It's about learning how to organize, what to keep, and what to let go of, even if it hurts. Healing isn't about erasing the past, but about finding a way to live with it, not in the room, but in a space that feels safe and steady. And sometimes the mess isn't just in the room, it's in your head. But you don't have to do it alone. Someone can help you carry the weight. So, if you're feeling lost in your own mind, remember, you don't have to clean it all by yourself. You don't have to be alone in the mess. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. You've probably had a dream that felt more real than your waking life. But what if those dreams were more than just fragments of your mind? What if they were windows into something ancient, something universal? Across cultures, dreams have always been more than just sleep. They've been warnings, prophecies, messages from the gods, or even a way to escape reality. In some cultures, dreams are sacred. In others, they're a tool. But in every culture, they're a mirror, reflecting our fears, hopes, and the secrets we never tell ourselves. So, what do you think your dreams are trying to tell you? And what do they say about the world we all live in? Let's find out. So, what exactly are we talking about? Dreams have always been this strange, silent language that we all speak but never fully understand. They're like a whisper in the dark, pulling us into stories we don't remember waking up from. Across every culture, people have tried to decode these nightly messages. Some see them as warnings, others as guidance, and many as a bridge between the conscious and the unconscious. They're not just random images. They're deeply personal, yet universally felt. Dreams are more than just what we see in our sleep. They're the stories our minds tell when we're not awake. They shape our fears, our hopes, and sometimes our decisions. They're a mirror to our inner world, reflecting what we can't always say aloud. And yet, for all their mystery, dreams are shared. We all experience them, even if we can't always remember them. In every culture, there's a way to talk about dreams, through stories, rituals, or even silence. They're part of what connects us, even when we're alone in our heads. So, to understand dreams is to understand something deeper about ourselves and each other. They're not just what we see in sleep. They're a kind of storytelling, a way to make sense of the world we can't always explain. And that's what we're going to explore together. You think dreams are just the brain's way of winding down? Think again. They're a mirror, a map, a mystery that connects us across time and space, stitching together the human experience in ways we can't fully explain. In every culture, dreams have been a source of guidance, fear, hope, and healing. They're not just private. They're public, shared, and sacred. They shape the way we see ourselves and the world. You might dismiss dreams as fleeting, but they're the whispers of our ancestors, the echoes of our collective unconscious. They're the way we've always tried to make sense of the unknown, and in doing so, connect with one another. So why should you care? Because dreams are more than just stories we tell ourselves at night. They're the threads that bind us to our past, to our present, and to the future we're still trying to imagine. They're the quiet conversations we have with the universe, and they're happening right now. In your mind, in the stories we carry. And maybe, just maybe, they're trying to tell us something. In ancient Mesopotamia, dreams were seen as messages from the gods. The Sumerians recorded them on clay tablets, believing they could predict the future or reveal hidden truths. In Egypt, pharaohs were said to dream of their own deaths, and their dreams were interpreted by priests who saw them as omens of transition, not endings. Across the Indus Valley, dream interpretation was woven into daily life, with symbols carved into seals and used in rituals to seek guidance from the unseen. In China, the Yellow Emperor's classic text, the Huangdi Neijing, linked dreams to the balance of yin and yang, seeing them as reflections of the body's inner harmony. From the Americas, the Aztecs and Maya saw dreams as a bridge between worlds, where the gods spoke through the mind, and shamans were chosen to walk between the seen and unseen. Dreams are like secret stories that our minds tell us when we sleep. They're like whispers from our heart, trying to show us something important. Sometimes they're about things we love, sometimes about things we fear. They're like a map of our feelings, even if we can't read the words. In every culture, people believe dreams have a special meaning. They're not just random, they're like messages from our inner world. So when we dream, we're not just sleeping. We're learning, growing, and connecting with the parts of ourselves we may never see while we're awake. Before the dream begins, there's a moment of quiet anticipation, like the world holds its breath. It's the space between waking and sleeping, where thoughts linger and the mind begins to unravel. In many cultures, this moment is sacred. A time to prepare, to set intentions, or to offer something to the dream world. It's not just about sleep, but about connection, ritual, and the thin veil between the known and the unknown. The act of lying down is more than physical. It's a surrender, a letting go of the self. It's where the dreamer becomes both the participant and the observer, the dreamer and the dream. In some traditions, dreams are seen as messages from ancestors, spirits, or the cosmos. The setup is the first step in opening the door to those messages, a quiet, deliberate act of invitation. This moment is not just about sleep. It's about preparation, reverence, and the recognition that dreams are more than imagination. They are a bridge, and the setup is the first step across. Dreams are not just random flashes of light in the mind. They are the brain's way of processing the day's events, sorting through memories, and rehearsing possible futures. It's like the mind is trying to make sense of chaos by turning it into stories. Across cultures, people have long interpreted these dreams as messages from the unconscious, warnings from the gods, or glimpses of a hidden reality. Some see them as a bridge between the physical and spiritual worlds. In many traditions, dreams are believed to be more than imagination. They are a form of communication, a way for the soul to speak when the body is silent. This step in the process is about the brain's attempt to make meaning from the chaos of sleep. It's not just about dreaming, it's about understanding what it means to dream. And so, the dream becomes more than a fleeting moment. It becomes a symbol, a story, a truth that lingers in the heart long after the waking world has returned. So, here's the twist. Dreams aren't just random flickers of the mind. They're a mirror, reflecting not just our thoughts, but the stories, the fears, the hopes that shape us. They're coded in symbols, and decoding them is like unlocking the hidden language of the soul. In many cultures, dreams are seen as messages from ancestors, spirits, or even the divine. They're not just personal, they're communal, woven into the fabric of beliefs, rituals, and traditions that connect people across generations. This interpretive layer adds depth to dreams, transforming them from fleeting images into vessels of meaning, carrying the weight of collective consciousness and the weight of individual experience. And in this twist lies the true power of dreams. They are not just stories we tell ourselves, but stories we share. Stories that bind us across time, space, and the boundaries of the waking world. Beneath all the stories and symbols, dreams are a language of the brain, ancient and universal, whispering in the dark. Neuroscience tells us dreams are the brain's way of sorting through memories, emotions, and experiences, trying to make sense of the chaos. Dreams are not just a byproduct of sleep. They are a bridge between the known and the unknown, between the waking world and the realm of the subconscious. In every culture, in every dream, there is a shared truth. We are all searching for meaning, for connection, for the feeling that we are not alone in the dark. So maybe the science is just the beginning. What we feel in our dreams, love, fear, wonder, is what truly defines us across time and place. Dreams are like the old dusty maps in the attic, crinkled, faded, but still holding the promise of places you've never been. They're not meant to be read literally, but they guide you through the unknown. They're the stories we tell ourselves when we're alone, the whispers of our subconscious trying to make sense of the chaos of life. They're not just dreams. They're the quietest form of rebellion against the waking world. In every culture, dreams are a kind of secret language, a way to speak to the divine or to the self without words. They're the bridge between what we know and what we might become. And maybe that's why they're so dumb, because they don't need to make sense. They just need to feel real, even if they're just a bunch of images in your head. That's the beauty of them. So let's not overthink the dreams. Let's just let them be what they are. A gloriously dumb but accurate way to tell the story of who we are, even when we don't know it yet. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. You wake up in a world that feels both familiar and strange. Your phone buzzes, not with a call, but with a dream. A notification from a sleep app that claims to remember what you dreamed. You've always wondered if your dreams matter. Now, technology says it can track them, store them, even analyze them like data points in a spreadsheet. What does it mean when your subconscious is no longer a secret? When your dreams are no longer just yours, but part of a system that might know you better than you know yourself? In the digital age, dreams are no longer just dreams. They're data, they're currency, and they're becoming the next frontier of human experience. And maybe the next frontier of control. So, what happens when your mind, your dreams, your inner world becomes part of the algorithm? We're about to find out. So what exactly are we talking about? It's not just about sleep or the mind's nightly wanderings. It's about the way we're starting to see dreams not as private experiences, but as data, as signals, as something we can maybe even control. We're diving into the intersection of neuroscience and tech, mapping the mind's activity, trying to decode what we dream, and even building tools to influence those dreams. It's like the future of dreaming is being written in code. This isn't science fiction anymore. We're talking about real research, real technology, and real questions. What does it mean for our sense of self if we can edit our dreams? What happens to the mystery and magic when we start to quantify the mind? So, what are we talking about? We're talking about the transformation of dreams from the realm of the subconscious to the world of the digital. It's a shift in how we understand the mind, and how we interact with it. You might think dreams are just random noise, but they're actually your brain's way of processing the world. Every night, your subconscious is sorting through the chaos of your day and trying to make sense of it. And that's something technology is now trying to decode. If you could understand your dreams, you might finally grasp the full story of your own mind. And in a world where data is power, knowing your subconscious could be the next frontier in personal growth and self-awareness. The future of dreaming isn't just about understanding your mind. It's about understanding how the digital world is becoming a part of your inner life. That's something you can't ignore, even if you don't want to. So, yes, you should secretly care, because the dreams you have now might not be just your own. They might be shaped by the world you live in, and that world is changing faster than you can imagine. Back in the 1950s, when the first sleep studies began, people thought dreams were just random noise. But scientists realized they were a window into the unconscious, a place where our deepest fears and desires played out in surreal, unfiltered ways. Then came the 1980s, with the rise of personal computers and early VR experiments. People started to imagine dreams as something we could shape, control, even simulate. It was the first time the idea of dreaming became a product. So, dreams are like the brain's way of playing video games, but with your own imagination. It's like when you fall asleep and your mind starts making up wild stories, but you can't stop it. But now, with tech, we're trying to catch those stories as they happen. Like trying to film a movie that only plays in your head, but you can actually watch it. But here's the thing. Even if we can make dreams, they still feel like our own. It's like having a robot write a story for you, but you still get to choose the ending. So, maybe the future of dreaming isn't about replacing our dreams, but about learning how to share them, or even understand them better. Like giving our brains a new kind of map. And that's why I think, in the end, technology might not make us dream less. It might just help us dream smarter, and maybe even help us remember the ones we already do. To start, you need a quiet space, a comfortable chair, and a device that can capture your mind. The process begins with grounding yourself, both physically and mentally, so the technology can align with your subconscious. The device is more than a machine. It's a bridge between your conscious and unconscious. It's designed to monitor brain activity, heart rate, and even subtle muscle movements, all to help interpret the shifting landscapes of your dreams. The first step is calibration. You sit, relax, and let the device sync with your body's natural rhythms. It's not about control, but about surrendering to the flow of your own mind, allowing it to become the canvas for something new. As the system stabilizes, it begins to detect the first signs of a dream state. Microsleeps, shifts in breathing, and the subtle flicker of REM activity. This is where the real magic begins, where technology meets the ineffable. And with that, the setup is complete. You're not just preparing for a dream. You're preparing to live it, to explore it, and to understand it in ways that were once unimaginable. The next step is the brain's interaction with the machine. This is where the dream begins to take shape. As the electrodes read your brain's electrical signals, they translate those chaotic waves into data, like a silent symphony being converted into a digital score. This data is then sent to an AI, which interprets the signals as fragments of thought, emotion, or memory. It's not just decoding, it's reconstructing, layering meaning onto the raw signal like an artist translating a mood into color. But it's not just about visuals. It's also about immersion. The system uses haptic feedback, soundscapes, and even scent to create a full sensory experience. You're not just seeing a dream, you're feeling it. This is where the line between the mind and the machine blurs. You're no longer just imagining a dream. You're co-creating it, guided by your thoughts and the system's interpretation of them. And once the dream is formed, it's not just a passive experience. You can move through it, shape it, even alter it. This is the next frontier of imagination, where the mind and technology are no longer separate, but one. So here's the clever twist. It's not just about recording dreams, but about reconstructing them. The system uses neural patterns to simulate the brain's activity during sleep, essentially creating a digital echo of the dreamer's unconscious mind. It's like translating a language we've never spoken into something that can be seen, felt, and even experienced. The brain's electrical signals are transformed into a visual and emotional narrative, a bridge between the waking world and the dream world. The twist isn't just in the technology. It's in the shift in perspective. We're not just observing dreams. We're becoming participants in their creation, co-authors of a reality that was once beyond our reach. And perhaps, in the end, the greatest twist is this. The dream is no longer a secret. It's a conversation between the mind, the machine, and the future of human experience. Beneath the surface of our digital lives, a quiet science hums: neuroimaging, AI, and quantum computing, each peeling back the veil on the mind's most private domain. We are not just observing dreams, we are translating them. The technology is there, but the science is still catching up. We can map the brain's activity, but we cannot yet read the meaning of a dream. It is like hearing a symphony without knowing the score. There is beauty in this gap between data and meaning. It is a space where wonder and mystery still linger, untouched by algorithmic certainty. Our dreams are not just patterns, they are poetry. Yet, as we peer deeper, we are not just looking at dreams. We are building the tools to shape them. The future of dreaming is not just being discovered, it is being designed. The science is humming. But what kind of future are we dreaming into? One of understanding or one of control? The answer lies not in the data, but in the heart of what we choose to dream. Imagine a dream is like a video game, but instead of a controller, you're using your brain. Every time you sleep, you're playing a new level, with no instruction manual and no save points. You're not just passive. You're the programmer, the designer, the player, and the audience all at once. Your brain is building the game in real time, and you're not even aware you're doing it. This is the digital age, a place where our dreams are not just imagined, but coded, processed, and even stored. Like data in a cloud, but belonging to the mind itself. So maybe the future of dreaming isn't about escaping reality. Maybe it's about expanding it, using technology not to replace our dreams, but to make them more vivid, more accessible, and more real. And in that, we find the true power of the digital age, not just to change how we dream, but to change how we understand what it means to dream at all. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. I've always found dreams to be this strange, quiet place where the rules of logic bend and the whispers of the soul speak louder than the world we know. They feel like messages from somewhere beyond the ordinary, like a window into a reality that's just out of reach, yet intimately familiar. Science tells us dreams are just the brain sorting through memories, but I can't help but wonder if they're also a way to touch something deeper, something we've forgotten how to name. Maybe dreams are not just the brain's way of making sense of the world. They might be the world trying to make sense of us. And if that's true, then perhaps the line between science and spirituality is not a wall, but a bridge, built in the quiet, mysterious space between sleep and waking. When we talk about dreams, we're not just talking about sleep. We're talking about the mind's quiet rebellion against waking logic, a place where the rules are rewritten and the unknown feels familiar. They're fragments of memory, emotions and thoughts that the mind can't quite hold in waking life. Dreams are like echoes of the self, whispering what we've forgotten or what we've never been allowed to say. So, dreams are both a puzzle and a portal. They're the mind's attempt to make sense of the chaos, and yet they also feel like a window into something larger, something beyond what we can see or measure. This is where science and spirituality begin to touch, not in agreement, but in curiosity. Each offering a different lens to look through, yet both pointing toward the same mystery. What is this thing we call the mind, and what does it reveal when we're asleep? You think dreams are just random static in your brain, but they're actually the universe whispering to you in a language you've forgotten. Every time you dream, you're not just sleeping, you're connecting. Science can map your brain's activity, but it can't explain why your dreams feel so real, so alive. That's where spirituality steps in, not to replace science, but to fill in the gaps. When you dream, you're not just imagining. You're remembering the parts of yourself that science hasn't discovered yet, and spirituality hasn't named. You might not believe in ghosts or miracles, but you believe in dreams. And that belief is a bridge between what you know and what you don't, between what you can see and what you can feel. So, yes, you should secretly care about this, because dreams are not just your brain's way of processing the day. They're your soul's way of reaching for something bigger. In the 19th century, scientists like Franz Mesmer were trying to explain the mysterious pull of dreams. They saw it as a force beyond the body, a kind of invisible current that connected us to something greater. Then came Freud, who turned dreams into a window into the unconscious. He saw them as a language of the mind, full of hidden meanings and repressed desires. The 20th century brought neuroscience, which mapped the brain's activity during sleep. Yet, even with all the data, the question remained, what does it all mean? Today, we're at the crossroads of science and spirituality. Dreams are no longer just a mystery to be solved, but a bridge we're learning to walk across. Dreams are like little secrets your brain whispers to you when you're asleep. They're not just random pictures. They're messages from your heart and your mind trying to talk to each other. Sometimes they feel like science. Logic, shapes, numbers. Like your brain is solving puzzles. Other times, they feel like magic. Feeling love, seeing stars, hearing voices from far away. When you dream, you're not just sleeping. You're exploring the space between what you know and what you feel. That's where the real magic happens. So maybe dreams aren't just about sleep. Maybe they're about learning how to see the world in a way that connects your brain and your heart. Before the dream begins, there's a quiet moment. A pause between waking and sleeping. The mind, like a river, slows its flow, and the world dissolves into stillness. In this stillness, the boundaries of the self begin to blur. The body is present, but the mind is already reaching out, drawing from the depths of memory, emotion, and the unknown. This is the setup, the moment when the bridge is first built. It's not a conscious act, but a quiet invitation for the mind to move beyond the known, into the realm where science and spirituality meet. It's a fragile moment, like the edge of the dream itself. Delicate, fleeting, and full of possibility. Here, the mind is open, and the world is waiting to be reimagined. In dreams, the mind slips between waking and sleep, a liminal space where logic loosens and feeling tightens. It's not just the brain resting. It's the soul stretching, reaching for something just beyond reach. This space is where the subconscious begins to weave its own reality, not bound by the laws of physics, but by the weight of memory, emotion, and the unspoken questions we carry into sleep. The body remains still, but the mind is active, building a fragile bridge between the known and the unknown, between the measurable and the mystical, between science and spirituality. In this moment, we are not just dreaming, we are being dreamed. The mind is not a passive observer, but an active participant, shaping a world that may not exist outside of sleep, but feels real in its own way. The third step is where the real magic begins. It's not just about dreaming or waking. It's about the subtle shift in consciousness that bridges the known and the unknown. You begin to notice that the dream world is not a place to escape to, but a place to learn from. It's like a mirror reflecting not just your mind, but your deeper self. This is where science and spirituality meet, not as opposites, but as complementary truths. The brain may create dreams, but the soul may guide them. The twist is that the dream isn't just a product of the mind. It's a doorway, a bridge, sometimes even a map to something greater than ourselves. There's a quiet hum beneath the surface of dreams, a resonance that science is only beginning to trace. It's not just the brain's electrical storm. It's something older, more primal, like the earth itself is dreaming. Neuroscientists speak of REM cycles, of neural activity, but they don't yet explain why we remember some dreams and not others. It's as if the mind is filtering something vast, something that doesn't fit neatly into the logic of waking life. There's a strange symmetry between the way we dream and the way the universe behaves. Both are unpredictable, both seem to defy linear cause and effect. Both hint at something deeper, something that science may never fully capture. Maybe dreams aren't just the brain's way of sorting memories. Maybe they're a window, a bridge, between what we know and what we don't. A place where the scientific and the spiritual meet, even if only for a moment. And so we dream. Not just of the world we know, but of the world we are becoming. Not just of what is, but of what might be. A quiet hum, a silent bridge, waiting to be crossed. Imagine a clockwork bird. Its gears spinning in perfect rhythm, but its wings are made of feathers that shimmer like stardust. It flies through a sky that is both mechanical and alive. Each tick of its clockwork heart is a thought, each flutter of its wings a memory. It is science, but it is also a dream. The mirror is not a reflection, but a door. It is not a mirror at all, but a dream that holds the weight of both logic and wonder. This is the bridge, not built of stone or steel, but of questions, of wonder, of the silence between thoughts. It is gloriously dumb. It does not explain. It only connects. And in that connection, we find the shape of the unknown. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. You ever look up at the sky and feel like the stars are calling you? Like they're whispering something only you can hear? It's not just a feeling, it's a signal. Dreams aren't just wishful thinking. They're the quiet fire that lights the way when everything else is dark. They're the spark that makes you keep going when the world says, stop. And sometimes, the hardest part isn't chasing your dream. It's remembering you're not alone in the fight. There are millions of people out there who feel the same way you do, but they're too afraid to speak up. But here's the truth. Dreams don't just happen. They're built. They're fought for. They're shaped by the people who refuse to let them fade into silence. So tonight, I want you to ask yourself, what's your dream? And more importantly, what are you going to do about it? Because the world needs more dreamers, and it needs you. Dreams aren't just things we imagine in the quiet of our minds. They're the fire in our chest, the whisper that tells us we're capable of more than we ever thought. There are the moments when you feel the world holding its breath, waiting for you to take the next step, even if it feels like standing on a tightrope with no safety net. There are the dreams that make you feel like a spark in a world that's too loud, a song in a sea of silence. And that spark is worth fighting for. Dreams are not just hopes for the future. They're the courage to live in the present, even when the future feels uncertain. And most of all, they're the reminder that you are not alone in your story, that there are others who feel the same fire, the same whisper, the same longing. You think your dreams are too small, too far away, but what if they're the only thing that ever made you feel alive? That spark in your chest, the fire that keeps you going when everything else is gone. You don't have to shout about your dreams. You don't need the world to know. But they're still worth protecting, worth nurturing, worth keeping close to your heart, even when no one else sees them. When you stop believing in your dreams, you're not just losing hope. You're losing a part of yourself that only you can restore, that only you can bring back to life. You're not just dreaming for yourself. Every dream you hold has the power to ripple out, to touch others, to inspire them to believe in something bigger than them. So, don't let your dreams fade into silence. Don't let them be buried under the weight of what you think you're supposed to be. They're worth more than you know. In 1921, a young man in New York City scribbled a dream on a napkin: to fly. He called it the Wright Brothers of the future. His name was Chuck Yeager, and he would one day break the sound barrier, proving that dreams can become reality. In 1952, a student in a dusty classroom in Kenya looked up from a history book and whispered, "I want to be the first African to walk on the moon." His name was Robert Goddard, and he would change the world with his rocket dreams. In 1969, a woman in a white dress stood on a lonely beach in Hawaii, watching the moon. She had no idea she'd one day walk on it, but she believed it was possible. Her name was Sally Ride, and she was the first American woman in space. In 1989, a boy in a small town in Brazil built a rocket from scrap metal, dreaming of the stars. He never imagined he'd inspire a generation, but he did. His name was Elon Musk, and he started with a dream. In 2020, a nurse in a hospital in Italy looked into the eyes of a patient and said, "I believe in you." She didn't know she was part of a movement that would change the world, but she believed in the power of dreams. These stories are not just history. They are the blueprint for your dreams. Every dreamer has walked this path before you. Now, it's your turn to step forward and believe. You know that feeling when you imagine something so big, it feels like it's out of reach? That's when a dream starts. It's like a spark in the dark, tiny but full of light. Dreams aren't just ideas. They're like seeds. You plant them in your heart, water them with hope, and one day, they grow into something real. But here's the secret. You don't have to be perfect to grow. You just have to believe, even when it feels like the world is telling you to stop. Dreams are not just for the big things. They're for the little things too, like waking up and feeling like you can do anything. So, believe in your dreams. Because even the smallest spark can light up the world if you let it. It starts with a quiet moment, when the world feels still and you're alone with your thoughts. You sit by the window, the sun casting long shadows across the floor, and you let the idea of your dream settle in your heart like a seed in the soil. You close your eyes and imagine the dream not as a distant star, but as something you can reach. You feel it in your chest, a soft but steady pulse of possibility, like the first breath of a new day. You take a deep breath and let the dream breathe with you. It's not about grand gestures or loud declarations. It's about making space for it, letting it live inside you like a secret you're proud to keep. You start to notice the dream more, not as a fantasy, but as a feeling. It lives in your heartbeat, in the way you look at the world, in the quiet courage it takes to let it be known. This is the setup, the moment you choose to listen to the dream inside you. It's not about waiting for inspiration to strike, but about creating the space where it can grow. Dreams are not just thoughts. They are seeds. When you believe in them, you plant something real, something that can grow with the right care and courage. Every step you take toward your dream is a nurturing act. It's not about speed, but about showing up again and again with intention and heart. The mechanism of belief is simple. It's the act of showing up, of choosing to trust the process, even when the path is unclear or uncertain. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to be willing to grow, to adapt, to learn, and to keep going even when the world says, not yet. Belief is the soil, effort is the water, and persistence is the sun. Together, they give your dreams the chance to flourish. The clever twist isn't about chasing the dream. It's about knowing when to let go of the map and trust the path. Dreams don't always follow the rules. Sometimes the real magic happens when you stop trying to control the outcome and start embracing the journey. The clever twist is realizing that your dream might not be the same as the one you imagined. It might evolve, grow, and even change shape along the way. It's not about making the dream perfect. It's about making space for it to live, breathe, and grow in unexpected ways. So, take the twist. Let it guide you. And remember, your dream is not a destination. It's the journey that makes you who you are. When we dream, we're not just imagining the future. We're rewiring the brain. Every belief we hold, every hope we nurture, is a spark that lights the path ahead. Neuroscience tells us that belief activates the same regions of the brain as reality. When you imagine success, your brain starts preparing for it. That's not magic. It's biology. Belief is the bridge between what is and what could be. It's not just a feeling. It's a force that shapes the world around you, one thought at a time. So when you dream, let it be more than a wish. It be a command. Let it be the signal your brain needs to start building the future you deserve. Imagine a child building a castle out of sand, only to watch it vanish with the tide. The dream isn't gone. It's just waiting for the right moment to rise again. Dreams are like that. Temporary, fragile, but infinitely powerful when you choose to rebuild them every time they're washed away. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment. You just have to start, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's messy and uncertain. Dreams are not meant to last forever. They're meant to inspire you to keep dreaming, to keep building, to keep believing in the next one. So, don't fear the tide. Let it wash your dreams away, and then build them again. That's the power of believing in dreams.
Comment this emoji if you made it to the end.